everyone and welcome to my channel. So for today's video, I am officially going to be decorating for my favorite season, autumn. I feel like every year, without fail, all I do for the first 8 months, 9 months sometimes of the year is I wait for the crisp air and the temperature to drop again and for the pumpkin spice flavored things to be out again and for the leaves to start changing color. And we are finally almost there. We've got about one more week until it is officially the first day of autumn. I think this year it is September 22nd, if I'm remembering correctly, and I'm pretty sure I am. But again, I am just so excited for autumn, and I decided that I don't want to wait anymore to decorate my room or my space for autumn when I have free will. And I can do that whenever I want. So that's what I'm going to do today. The first, and I would argue most important thing about the switch from summer to fall is the candles. So I have actually had this candle right here, which is the scent of an espresso martini from Target for a while now. I don't remember when exactly I bought it. I want to say it was around the same time as Sabrina Carpenter's kind of rise to fame with Short and Sweet, because espresso and espresso martinis was kind of just always in the same sentence as her, if you will. So I did get this from Target with the thought that it reminded me of Sabrina Carpenter, and it's been great, it smells really nice. I also use a candle warmer instead of a lighter, so I get to reuse and reuse and reuse all of my candles for basically ever. And so I'm putting this away for the season, and I'm actually trying to currently decide between two different candles. The first one is actually one that I got last year, also from Target, but it comes in this cute little pumpkin shape, and it is vanilla pumpkin flavored. I burned this for so much of fall last year, and it smells heavenly. And I actually haven't smelled it since last year. This is my first time opening it, and I'm so excited. Oh, that's so perfect. Oh, it's so good. But my second candle option for autumn is actually apple honey butter. And I got this year from TJ Maxx. And it took me an annoyingly long time to find an apple scented candle. Not in the sense that there are no apple scented candles, because there were so many, but all of them smelled kind of like nothing. They smelled very, very faintly of apples, but it was so faintly that I was like, am I sick? Am I congested and I just can't smell this? But I would smell other candles and smell them perfectly fine. So I was just really struggling to find a specific apple scent that I really enjoyed, even though I knew that I wanted to have an apple scent for this fall season. But I was very lucky that I finally was able to find one, and it smells really nice. Point being, I got this year, and I'm very glad that I found it, because this, an apple scented candle has been on my mind for actually the past month, because I've been thinking about fall for the past month. And honestly, choosing between these two is going to be such a difficult decision, because they both smell so good and they're both very fall themed. I think I am gonna go with the pumpkin scent first, or at least for right now, because it's kind of a staple when you think about fall, or at least to me, that's the first thing I think about whenever I hear the word autumn or fall. I think, oh, pumpkin. So I think I'm gonna start with the vanilla pumpkin candle, and I'm gonna go ahead and put her right over here on my warmer, and gonna turn it on so that for the rest of the time while I'm filming this video, it actually smells like the candle. And I keep my candle warmer right beside my bed. But now, moving on to the next thing that I'm going to be changing out for a more fall vibe or aesthetic, if you will. I'm actually going to be switching out my vinyl stack right here, and it's probably not going to be as much of a change as you think it is, because I am a huge fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I remember when I found out that they were putting the soundtrack on vinyl, my heart rate stopped a little bit for a second. I was so excited because the show means everything to me, and the soundtrack is seriously so amazing. So I knew that I had to have it, obviously. But within the last couple of months, they actually released the next part of the soundtrack, because this one right here is actually only for season 1, and there are a total of 3 seasons. So they released the second season, and that one is actually right behind. And it is green, and she is beautiful and stunning, and I adore her very deeply. And while green might not necessarily be like a color that I immediately think of when I think of fall, I do think that it is kind of more ingrained in fall decor and just like fall in general than I really realized. So I kind of wanted to embrace that in some sort of way. And what a better way to do that than by continuing to display one of my favorite shows of all time. So like I said, just going to switch these out. I'm going to move season 1 back 1 and then put season 2 up front. And there she is. I love it so much. Oh my gosh, I am so excited for fall, if you couldn't tell by the fact that I've said that at least like 8 times by now. I do have a couple of other things across my room that I want to switch out and organize as well. So let's get to it. All right, so we are now at my bookshelves, and they are not like completely done and decorated in the exact way that I want them to be yet, but I also don't know exactly what I want them to be yet. So it's kind of a never-ending cycle of like wanting to organize this area, but not really knowing how I want to organize this area. But we're not going to talk about that today. Today we are going to look at a specific shelf, and that is this one right here. You can probably not tell super well from this distance, but this shelf is one where I keep my like seasonal books. And what I mean by that is that right now I have a bunch of books displayed that have the word summer in the name, or just have a very summery vibe, because it's summer right now, and that just is a very fun way to kind of remind myself to enjoy that season, I guess. But obviously we are no longer going to be in summer for very much longer, so I'm going to switch these out with a couple of fall books that I have, which I don't think is actually very many, but we'll get to that. And funnily enough, actually almost all of the books that I have displayed here for the summer season are books that I read this year. For example, we have One Last Summer by Kate Spencer, Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walter, One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune, Best Summer Ever by Jessica Consolo, and Problematic Summer Romance by Allie Hazelwood. And so that leaves me with one book with the word summer in it that I didn't read this year, and I read it last year, Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. So you might be thinking, well, if these are your seasonal books and you have an entire shelf for it, what do you do when it's no longer that season? And to that I say, I'm so glad you asked. Because I actually have a book stack right behind this little art easel that I use to display one of the book covers that is a bunch of books for the different seasons. So we have 3 books right here that are going to be displayed for the fall. And then a couple of these summer books will go back into this little space here to display the pages of the books. And as I'm doing this, I go ahead and put the most recent season on the bottom of the stack, so that whatever comes next after the season I'm currently in is at the top and is more accessible. Okay, brief intermission because I think I just low-key broke my easel. Just a second. Okay, it's fixed. We're back. I'm personally a huge fan of using things the incorrect way. So instead of using an art easel to display art, I use it to display books. And I really love that. I think it adds a nice touch. Also, if you didn't notice earlier, I have a Snoopy and Charlie Brown Funko Pop on this shelf as well, because I am a huge fan of Charlie Brown and Snoopy. And now for the books that are going to be on display for the fall season, we have The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore, another Lori Gilmore book, The Cinnamon Bun Store, Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice, and I cannot say her name, Katie something, but it's right there so you can read it. And lastly, Fall I Want by Lyra Parrish. I actually haven't read a single one of these books, and I actually have like 5 books by Lori Gilmore that I haven't read yet. So I hope I like her as an author. I'm sure I will. But the book that I am going to be displaying on the art easel is Fall I Want, because I think it is just so cute, and it also has sprayed edges, so I kind of want to be able to see that as well. And obviously I have more space to get more seasonal books, so that is very exciting as well, because I will definitely be wanting to read some more fall vibe books. And we've still got a couple more decorations, so let's move on to the next spot. And so the last spot today that I am going to be kind of switching out for a different vibe or a fall vibe is actually this chair, and specifically the blanket right here. One thing that I really want for myself personally is to have a different kind of blanket for each season, so that when I'm doing like reading recap videos or just when I'm sitting over here in any video, you can kind of tell what the season is, even if I don't say it. But I've actually used this blanket here with a bunch of flowers on it for both summer and spring. So I do need to be on the lookout for something different, I think, for summer, because to me, flowers definitely screams more spring. But that is something that future me can deal with. Right now, I'm switching this out for a fall blanket, which I already have actually. I have little baskets on either side of this chair that I use to store stuffed animals and blankets. So this over here will have exactly what I need. This one right here is a tan blanket, and I absolutely love her. She has a bunch of mushrooms on it, different colors, obviously a red mushroom. We've got yellow mushrooms as well, and even some green mushrooms. But I think it is very fall without being too like in your face fall. Like, it's not autumn leaves necessarily, and it's not like a really heavy blanket, but it has those warmer autumn colors that you look for. So it at least makes me think of autumn. And just like for the other blanket, I'm going to fold it a couple of times and then kind of splay it across the back like so. And I just think that it adds a nice little touch to the chair, so it's not looking too bland. And also, like I was saying earlier, with my vinyl being green, but kind of wanting that to tie into the fall aesthetic, this chair, the cushion, is green, and I love green. That's why I picked it out. But in my brain, it might not necessarily always work for autumn, except that I have little green spots in this blanket that is very much like warmer tones, but it helps everything else kind of tie in, and I really like that. So I am actually hoping to find a couple more fall decorations. I'm specifically looking for 2 things. 1, a fall foliage like leaf garland, because I can't find one that's reasonably priced anywhere. And I'm also kind of wanting like a small pumpkin to just kind of display on a shelf or something. And I think I am going to go on the hunt for those things tomorrow, so I'll see you then. All right, so it is now the next day and I am currently on the way to my first stop to look for the little leaf garland situation that I was kind of talking about yesterday. I'm really hoping that I can find something like remotely close to what I'm looking for at like a dollar store, so I don't have to spend too much money, because I did check at Target for specifically a like leaf garland and I found one, but it was $30, which I am not spending because that's ridiculous. But all that being said, I am thinking that if I don't find something at like a dollar store, that I will probably end up going to like a Hobby Lobby or something like that. Or at least that's currently the plan, and that might change. But I will probably update you as soon as I find something that I like. All right, so I did end up finding something that I really like at actually the first store that I went to, which was a Dollar General. And I kind of DIY'd it in a very simple way. So they had these different like colored autumn leaf garlands for about $1-ish. But they had different colors. So some of them were like yellow and some of them were red and some of them were orange. And I liked all of those colors, but I didn't want to get just one. And I was a little worried about how exactly I would like layer them if I was to layer them. But I realized that these actually have little holes on the end. So I very resourcefully got a couple of paper clips and just looped them all together. So now it looks like this. I am so happy with how it looks. I think it looks a lot more full than it would have if I got just one, which I love. And obviously all the different color leaves is a very big plus. And I don't actually remember if I said where I specifically want this garland to go, but I was thinking right on top of my bookshelves right here would look super cute. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab this step stool because I can't quite reach it, and put these up there and see what it looks like. Okay, yeah, I actually really like that. I think it's super cute. It's not a great angle right here, but I really like it. I think it's adorable, and it was much cheaper than what I originally thought I was going to spend. So that's always a plus. And now I just have one more little spot in my room that I want to redecorate for fall. So we are now at my bedside table, and there are a couple of things that I want to change out and put in for this area. As of right now, I have a lamp, which will be staying there, obviously, a little thank you card that I thought was really cute, a tissue box with a tissue box cover that says Cry Proudly, and it's from the brand We're Not Really Strangers, which I love, and a stack of books that I am hoping to read in the near future. I'm thinking I want to take this stack and just put it somewhere else, because I do want to eventually get around to reading these books, but it's just not going to happen right now, and it kind of takes up real estate on my bedside table of things that I could be putting there, like a water bottle or literally anything else, so those are probably going to find a new home. I'm also going to be taking off this little thank you card. It's so cute, but it is giving more of a like spring and summer vibe, so it will be going with all of the other cards that I keep. I'm also going to keep the tissue box here because with fall comes a lot of allergies or just getting a cold, and I get very congested. So those are gonna stay right there. The two little decorations that I am going to add to this area are a little pumpkin that I actually also just got from the dollar store. It's just a white pumpkin with some like orange speckles on it, and I'm pretty sure it's like a styrofoam texture. So not super like impressive decoration wise, but it was cheap, so obviously it's gonna feel a little cheap, but I thought it was cute, so I wanted it. And the other thing that I got is this little puzzle that came in a box that looks like a book, and I just think it is so cute. if you open it, the puzzle is in there. I haven't actually done the puzzle yet, and I'm hoping to at some point during the fall, but I definitely want to use the box as decoration as well because it is just so cute. I love it. So I was thinking, right, that I use this as a base and put the tissue box on top of it. Yeah, I think I like that. I think the colors blend together very well as they are obviously both in a warm palette and they are very autumn. And then I think the pumpkin can just go right here in front of the lamp. I know it's not anything crazy, but I actually really like this layout. It's very simple and again, leaves a lot of space for anything else that I might need on my bedside table. And with that, I think I am done decorating my room for fall. I will probably end up finding some stuff during this fall season that I want to buy and put in my room somewhere, but I think this is a good starting spot. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!